The Resilience Across Borders podcast is intended for education, support, and inspiration. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer any professional, medical, or health advice. If you are dealing with or suffering from any psychological or medical conditions, please seek help from a qualified health professional. Hello and welcome back to Resilience Across Borders podcast. I am your host, Rachid, and in today's episode, we will talk about navigating the rough waters of making unpopular decisions and strategies for delivering bad news, both on the personal side and also on the professional or business side. So delivering bad news or making these unpopular decisions is never easy, whether it's informing an employee of a layoff, announcing a policy change that may not be well received, breaking up or addressing a difficult situation with a client. These moments require tact, they require empathy and effective communication. So in this podcast, we'll explore strategies to help you navigate these challenging conversations with grace, tact, and professionalism. Number one, communicate with transparency and honesty. Example, so if announcing like a company-wide restructuring, provide a clear and honest reason behind the decision or honest reasons behind the decision, such as financial challenges or changes in market conditions. Just avoid sugarcoating the situation or providing vague explanations, as this can lead to confusion and further distrust among employees. Of course, if there are any legal obligations, limitations, or non-disclosure constraints, don't forget to navigate that, with the help of legal counsel. But I believe you can do things humanely and responsibly. As it reminds me of that quote by the Dalai Lama, be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. Number two, show empathy and compassion. For instance, if delivering news of a project delay to a client, acknowledge the inconvenience it may cause them and express genuine understanding for their concerns. Most people want to be heard and understood. That's the biggest portion. Offer support and reassurance and be open to discussing potential solutions or alternatives to mitigate the impact of the delay. Don't take anything for granted. Number three, provide context and rationale. Example, when implementing a new policy that may not be popular among employees, such as changes to benefits or work hours, clearly communicate the reasons behind the decision and how it aligns with the organization's goals or values as an entity and also as a team. Help employees understand the bigger picture and how their cooperation is essential for the company's success and ultimately everyone's success, the tide that lifts all. Number four, offer solutions or alternatives. An example is if delivering news of budget cuts that will impact team resources, explore alternative solutions or adjustments that can help minimize the impact on productivity and morale. Encourage collaboration and input from team members to find creative solutions to overcome challenges. Sometimes the more people are involved in the solution, the more they back it up, the more they're invested in it as well. Number five, be prepared to listen and address concerns. An example is when announcing a decision to discontinue, for instance, a product or service. Anticipate questions and concerns from customers or stakeholders. Actively listen to their feedback and address any valid concerns with empathy and professionalism. Offer alternative solutions or resources to help ease the transition for affected parties. Number six, maintain a professionalism and respect. For instance, regardless of the situation, maintain that demeanor and avoid getting defensive or confrontational. Even if met with resistance or pushback, treat all parties involved with respect and dignity and focus on finding constructive solutions to move forward. Now, let's talk about the personal side. If this is more personal or related to a personal situation, such as a split or deciding to break up, for example, remember, delivering personal bad news like ending a relationship can be very challenging. However, handling the situation with empathy and consideration and thoughtfulness can significantly impact how the message is received, and help both parties move forward with dignity and minimize unnecessary pain for both parties involved. So keep this in mind. One, choose the right time and place. Be sensitive. Find a private, calm, and neutral location to talk. Make sure there is enough time to have a full conversation without rushing. Be direct, but be kind. Clearly communicate your decision without ambiguity or mixed signals. Use I statements to take ownership of your feelings and reduce defensiveness. This is something that is not working for you, so keep that I statement and that I focus. Number three, acknowledge the positive. Express gratitude for the positive aspects of the relationship and the experiences shared. Just because something is over, don't have to suffer over it. You can celebrate that it happened. You can celebrate the memories. And there is usually silver linings. There's usually lessons for all involved. And hopefully you have both grown as a result. It may not be obvious immediately, but trust me, it is there below the surface if you are looking. Be genuine in acknowledging their strengths and their contributions. Number four, avoid blame or criticism. This is not easy. This takes practice, and this takes really focus and mindfulness. So focus on expressing your feelings and needs rather than pointing fingers or criticizing, which of course just leads to shutdown and defensiveness and walls being put up, and you're really just not going anywhere. Avoid bringing up a laundry list of past grievances. Just doesn't help. Five, offer an honest explanation. Provide a truthful but considerate explanation for your decision. Keep the explanation brief to prevent unnecessary hurt. This is meant to be helpful, again, not to really make someone feel like, you know what, she's talking. Six, listen to their perspective. Allow them to share their feelings and thoughts without interruption. Of course, this has to be healthy and this has to be constructive for you. I mean, it may be hard to hear some things or whatnot, but give that courtesy at least one last time. Validate their emotions, even if you disagree with their viewpoints, because people's perception is their reality, and people's inner child and their emotions and what's going on inside of them. A lot of times you're just screaming to be heard, and I know it's not easy. It's not easy, but if you can do this, you will thank yourself for this later, and you will be proud of yourself that you have done this, and it will be a humane way and a very thoughtful way to actually treat the other person. Be prepared for an emotional reaction. Recognize that the response may include shock, sadness, anger, or disbelief. Different people react differently, so just be prepared to remain calm and composed and avoid getting defensive or argumentative. And of course, if it gets way out of hand, feel free to politely remove yourself out of the situation. Number eight, set boundaries for future contact. Clarify your intentions for post-breakup communication and boundaries. Be clear about whether you prefer no contact or gradual reduction of contact, or temporary no contact. Communicate it, clarify your intentions. Number nine, offer support if appropriate, if applicable. This is not always applicable. Sometimes you just want to remove yourself from that situation. If it wasn't an unhealthy situation for you, it was a situation you could not wait to get out of, and the person is just toxic, and it's just like, it's like obviously a lot of these applies to situations where there is that amicable situations, but if applicable, suggest helpful resources, friends, counseling to cope with the breakup. Avoid offering false hope, though, of reconciliation if you're certain about your decision. It's easy to waffle in these situations. Emotions are high and all of that. So avoid offering false promises or false hope of reconciliation if you are certain and you really deliberated about your decision, and so there's no confusion. Number 10, follow up if necessary. If you are living together or shared responsibilities, address practical matters like logistics. Sometimes, a quick, clean split is not possible. So good communication is required, and being responsible about these things is required. So reach out later if you believe it could offer closure or further understanding. Again, depending on the history, depending on how amicable this is, And assuming there is no abuse, there is no bad toxic situations where you just need to make a clean break. 11, practice self-care afterwards. Very, 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 very important. A lot of times you'll have to do the work after these types of situations, all kinds of work, but balance that also with self-care, because if you don't do enough self-care, you will burn out from the work, and then you will not do the work that needs to be done, such as the grieving, such as the self-examination, the reflection, and deduction of the lessons, and what are you going to do moving forward, and trying to make some kind of sense of it, but most importantly getting in touch with your feelings, with your emotions, and seeing what that inner child in you needs, right? So recognize that delivering bad news can also be emotionally taxing for you. Engage in activities that help you relax, recharge, and reflect. So balance again the work with self-care, and also balance outward activities with being stuck in your head. Don't spend way too much time there just in rumination, unhelpful rumination, or other things that if done too much just becomes counterproductive. So delivering bad news or making unpopular decisions is a challenging aspect of life in general, whether it's leadership or relationships or however. By employing strategies such as transparency whenever possible, empathy, providing context, offering solutions, support, listening, and maintaining your cool or maintaining your professionalism, depending on the situation, you can navigate these difficult conversations with integrity, with kindness, and build trust and respect among those affected. Remember that how you deliver bad news or unpopular decisions can have a significant impact on how they are received and perceived. These things are very difficult. So, of course, the delivery helps a little bit. So, approach these situations with care and consideration for the well-being of all involved parties, and be aware of the emotional toll and be aware of the emotional weight of your delivery. As always, thank you for tuning into the Resilience Across Borders podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast and finding it helpful to you, please review, please follow, please like. Please pick up a copy of the companion journal by yours truly if you really want to do some work. It's called Emogym, Emogym on Amazon. You can follow the blog posts and new episodes as they get added at this URL, one place at resilience.com. It's at resilience.com. Just so if you're not sure where to go and find out when the new episodes are, have dropped or anything like that, you can just bookmark this or follow the blog. It's at resilience.com. ATRESILIENCE.com. Remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others, and stay resilient.